Welcome back. We're talking about the industry impact that we've seen because of COVID-19. We've been talking to all industries, and today's focus is on the housing sector. The nationwide lockdown has completely halted construction activity. Projects have been delayed, consumer sentiment is changing, and the possibility of a large base of unemployment, the target audience also seems to be changing. So what happens in the midst of all this to sales? To the building activity. We'll talk about all of this and more with Mr. Irfan Razack of Prestige Group. He's joining us now. Razack, thanks very much for taking out the time. First, let's get your sense on, how have you taken the situation as a developer? I mean, it was anticipated that all industries will get hit because of this lockdown, but for real estate particularly, has it been more damning?
Good morning to all of you. Actually, you're right that everybody gets affected. All industry gets affected. All business gets affected. So as I've been saying repeatedly, now the need of the hour is to see how our employees are safe, how our customers who are staying in our houses are safe, how they are serviced, and how they take care of themselves in this very critical time. Because we believe that once we have fought that battle to keep our customers and our employees safe, then the next step comes in whenever the virus clears, whenever the atmosphere is better, how to pick up the threads from there and how we can quickly turn around and deliver our commitments. So as of now, as a company, we are in different segments of real estate, starting from retail, from hospitality to commercial office leasing, as well as in housing. So each segment is affected in a very different way, and each segment has its own challenges. But I believe that in every challenge, there's always a silver lining. Public memory short. This is not going to last forever. It is a painful period as of now, and we cannot wish it away. We definitely have to sustain this over the next maybe 3, 4, maybe even 6 months, after which things will come back on track and come back with a bang. In fact, on the housing front, I would say instead of calling it doomsday, I would say it's an opportunity. Now, why do I say it's an opportunity? Because all over the world, we have so many Indians living and working both in Europe, US, UK, the Middle East, the Far East. And now today, the way India has fought COVID-19, the way India has managed COVID-19, there's a lot of confidence in our Indian NRIs who are living abroad to finally decide that, listen, finally the best place to be in is in India. The best place to have a home is in India. And I believe that, and with the rupee depreciating, there is an opportunity for them to buy a good home and call a place a home. And there are a lot of options available for them in whichever city they choose. So I believe that this is an opportunity. It's how it's presented, how it's packaged. Now coming to things like, will there be delays in construction? If this scenario goes on for the next couple of months or maybe even 3 months, we have to pick up the threads from there. And we are working with very large contracting firms, including we also have our own contracting company. So we have kept our labor in their sites as of now. We are taking care of their food. We are taking care of their hygiene. We are taking care of that they are kept safe. And of course, there is a small component of migrant labor also. But now we cannot help that. And that will probably, will come back because everybody does need an employment. Anything that stops has a little time to start. Maybe after this whole scenario is cleared off, it will take us about 30 days for us to get back on our feet. And we could increase the pace, and the maximum delays that can take place from whenever we start is about a couple of months, which honestly is not such a large delay compared to the entire gestation of the gestation period of a housing complex. And our customers are with us. Customers are now realizing that the best place to invest is in real estate rather than in the mutual funds or in the shares because now the equity market has taken a huge beating. It's dropped down by nearly half. Mutual funds have actually eroded very badly. So the only safe investment is either keep your money and have it depreciated in a fixed deposit or buy a real estate product which over a period of time, maybe a few years, maybe a decade, it does appreciate and does appreciate multifold. So this is the opportunity. And instead of calling it doomsday for real estate, I would call it as an opportunity. But I do not want to sound it as an opportunity in troubled waters. We are sympathetic towards what's happening. We are sympathetic towards what's taking place in the world, not only in India. And I'm really, really amazed how India has handled the situation. They've done an amazing job. The government is really taken very aggressive steps. And this lockdown was imminent. And I believe that whenever it does open, I don't see it opening up very fast. Maybe it will happen in stages. But whenever it does happen, we'll be a safer country to live in.
Yeah. Mr. Razack, that's very well put. But, since you mentioned that this is an opportunity and you are talking to customers, has the rate of inquiries increased a lot for residential?
See, today, nobody's thinking of this. See, having said that, in the last week, online, we did a few sales and that too a few luxury sales. But that's not an indicator. The indicator will come after all this has settled out, after people are mentally... Now, see, today they're all disturbed. Today, what are they thinking of is, will I be safe? Will my family be safe? Will my children be safe? When will they start going to school? When will life resume back to normal? Will my job be secure? Now, these are the things that are running in people's minds. So at this moment of time, I'll be wrong to assess anything because there are a lot of research firms who, for the sake of getting mileage, to getting eyeballs, that keep doing research. I don't know how they can do what research. It's impossible. Nobody has a crystal ball. The only thing that I can say is from the experience of the last 3.5 decades of being in this business, from the experience of what we've already delivered and achieved, and from the experience of the cycles that we have faced in the last 3.5 decades, I can only say is that things will bounce back for the country. And one more great thing is the government has been supportive. A little more support from the government will help the business because if they help the business, help the industry, what it happens does is it creates the jobs. And once jobs are created, there's an economic well-being. And when economic well-being happens, then everything else falls in place. Industry does well, housing does well, everything else does well. So it's a chain reaction. I think some more measures will come, I'm sure. And with these measures and the measures already announced by the finance minister, the RBI and all of it, I believe these are steps in the right direction. Government itself has a huge challenge with the population of 1.3 billion. It's not easy. And all types of people, and it's a mass that they have to deal with. And in such a huge population, what we have done is, I would just call in one word, amazing.
Mr. Razack, good morning, Neeraj here. Just a follow-up to that. What is the one simple, doable thing that you think the government can do to benefit the real estate industry? There are multiple measures, I'm sure, but what's that one key thing that you expect or hope can happen?
Yeah, Neeraj, very rightly put. You said one simple, straightforward thing that can help real estate survive is today the industry is actually leveraged. It's in debt, and the cost of doing business itself is pretty huge. If somehow the government can sort of reduce this cost of buying or cost of doing business, I know the government also needs money. They can't give away freebies. But in some way, if they can in some way help the real estate industry breathe, give them some oxygen in terms of maybe a little cheaper cost funding or completely defer their liabilities or whatever. I'm not saying write it off. It can't be like the farmer loans to be written off. Real estate doesn't deserve that. But what it can does is you can probably give them some oxygen by probably deferring the entire liability by a year, and that will give them a lot of oxygen, a lot of courage to come back to the bank.
Okay, let's see if that happens. The part two is a follow-up to your first answer, Mr. Razack. Now, you may be in a unique situation wherein a large portion of your workforce may not necessarily be migrant laborers, but then you're keeping care of them. Not the entire industry would be doing that. So for construction stroke real estate, Mr. Razack, for the migrant labor that has gone away, and in about 3 months' time, monsoons and then the festival season kicks in when they anyways go back to their homes, could this be a protracted lack of good quality labor available kind of scenario?
Yeah, it's a reality. I would say that if the migrant labor has gone back, obviously it's a psychological thing. They're not going to come back in a hurry. Of course, they do need the 1 square meal and they do need to earn money. And now we are in the month of April. I look at, like you rightly said, we're going to get into monsoon, and then immediately after monsoon, we'll get into Dasara and Diwali. So, and of course, the virus itself is not going to go away anywhere till Dasara or Diwali. I personally believe that life for these migrant workers and for the construction industry and real estate, for us to start really on a war footing, start work with all labor will be sometime after Diwali.
Okay. Mr. Razack, just one more question, and therefore that's on the economics part. Business, obviously, as you said, a few sales don't make a trend. So therefore, the numbers right now may not look good on the sales front, but the cost, employee costs, as well as keeping the laborers in check and the extra costs for meals, etc. I mean, it's a no-brainer of a question, but I'm still forced to ask you because we are business journalists. Do you expect the hit on margins to be severe?
I won't call it severe, but we will definitely have certain losses. We have to absorb them. We have no choice. Like if you already heard me in the media and other forums, like for the retailers where all our malls are shut, we've got 8 operating malls in the country. We have empathized with them and we have told them that, listen, since there's no trading, there's no way that you get any revenue. So to keep that goodwill with our retailers, so whenever we do open, we open with a bang. We have now waived the rent till the date of opening. So that is a big one, and that is certainly a straight direct loss. Now, if you come into hospitality, in certain hospitality assets in CBD areas, we've got 0 occupancy, but I still have to keep my staff morale high. I have to pay their salaries. I have to keep the property in trim and proper condition. So I have an outflow instead of an inflow. Now, these are all losses. Of course, see, profits were made. Now there's a time when there'll be a certain amount of losses. We have to absorb them. And the only good part is, I think the size and the scale at which we are doing business, we will be able to absorb those losses. And this is not peculiar to real estate. It's across the board. Every industry will be losing, maybe except for the internet industry, which is, of course, now on a boom. Because everybody has switched on to the net and all video conferencing and all of it, and that's where there's a spike and a spark. But the rest of it, and of course FMCG is doing well. People have to live, people have to eat food. But even there's a hit because it's not as though you're consuming as much as you normally would, because the entertainment and partying and all that has stopped. So every sector gets hit.
Right. Mr. Razack, one last question on this conversation then. What are you doing with regards to your own servicing of your own loans? Are you seeking some kind of extensions? And the other point is, from an industry standpoint, residential sales in 2019 was at approximately 2.16 lakh units across 7 cities. Do you see that falling substantially? I mean, will that drop by how much according to your assessment?
No, I will not predict any drop at all because, okay, the April has just started. The April quarter, that's the financial year for us, 2021. The first quarter will definitely be subdued. And the following quarter, we'll see a big spike. So whatever we are going to lose in terms of sales now in this quarter, we are certainly going to make it up in the following quarters. And I am very, very sure about it. I'm quite positive about it. And I am not talking about doomsday. one thing great about real estate is it's not a perishable commodity. Unlike food, now I've seen farmers throw away their produce. Now, we need not throw away our produce. Our produce is there, real, seen, and if it doesn't sell today, it sells tomorrow. And as such, and there are times when the prices also have gone up. In this condition, I definitely do not want prices to go up if they are stable, if our margins are protected, and if we are able to get our liquidity and service our loans and pay back our loans. I think that will be the win-win factor in this. And in this note, I would like to say that we are in a very, very secure and a sound business, and the best business that even a bank can loan to, because in case there's a default, there's something they can come and attach. In other businesses, there's nothing that they can get out.
Okay. Mr. Razack, great chatting with you and great to get some positivity out from an interaction. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
And thanks to all our viewers for watching.
According to a recent report, women today contribute nearly 74% of real estate buying decisions.